Hey, this is licensed worship leader and catechist training, class number 1, and this is from session 1, part A. This is a little handout that came in that packet of stuff that I sent you, having to do with guidelines for licensed lay ministries in general, but in particular with the worship leader and catechist that we're starting. Let me get you over to the next page. Guideline for licensed lay ministries, nothing there. Table of contents, we're not going to be worried about that. Okay, here we are, licensed lay ministries. Now, what we're noting here is that the licensed lay ministries is a function of the canons for the national church. And these canons actually provide for 7 licensed lay ministries. 2 of them you already know about, Eucharistic minister and Eucharistic visitor. The ones that we're looking at here are licensed lay worship leader and licensed catechist. Basically, the worship leader is licensed to conduct public worship service as opposed from the daily offices that many of us use in our spiritual disciplines. But we're talking about Sunday morning services essentially for the worship leader. And for the catechist, these are people who prepare children and adults for baptism, for confirmation, and for being received into our denomination from the Lutheran Church, the Roman Catholic Church, other sacramental liturgical churches, as well as renewal of baptismal vows. So I'll tell you in the next segment a little bit more history about those national church canons, but this is just a little introductory overview. Catechist, as I mentioned before, is the one who prepares people. Eucharistic minister, you're familiar with this. These are the people that handle the chalice and are actually authorized to also administer the bread. In our diocese, we don't do that very often. In our diocese, the protocol is that the lay minister administers the wine, the ordained minister administers the bread. The Eucharistic visitor takes the sacrament to the shut-in, sick, people who can't get to a Sunday service. It's a way of extending the Sunday altar. Now, the lay worship leader in our part of the diocese down in Putnam County, in addition to being able to celebrate Sunday worship services, they are also able to take the sacrament to another congregation in our area. So theoretically, a worship leader could go to another congregation, do the liturgy of the word, share the communion to that other congregation as well, utilizing the Eucharistic visitor portion of the service that has to do with the liturgy of the table. So we'll cover this in more detail a little bit later on. Now, the other thing that's a part of this is an application for consideration in applying for the applicant for an application for either of these licenses, worship leader, catechist. The idea behind this is, and particularly down here in Putnam County, is that we want our licensed lay leaders to be able to go to any of our congregations, not just the congregation in which they are resident. And so we want to be able to let our folks have exposure at other places, so that if we have a plethora of licensed people in one congregation, they may serve in another. If another congregation, for whatever reason, doesn't have anybody in residence that can do any of these licensed lay functions, then we can utilize somebody from another congregation. So that's it for this particular handout. The next thing that we're going to do, take a look at, is the handbook, the module, or the handbook itself for these licenses. So stay tuned.